In this video, we'll discuss hydroponic propagation. I'll try to answer 4 of the most common questions people have when it comes to growing hydroponically. First, what is hydroponic propagation, or more commonly known as hydro? What are the more common types of hydroponic systems? What equipment you might need to grow hydroponically? And finally, what are some of the benefits and problems associated with hydroponic propagation? Come on in, let's take a look. The 6 most common types of hydroponic systems. The constant drip system. Here you can see a schematic of the system we saw earlier. The constant drip system, or CDS, utilizes a reservoir from which your nutrient solution is constantly pumped in light amounts through the base of each plant. This system allows for constant nutrition, but also plenty of oxygen for the roots. The ebb and flow system uses a fill and drain method. The nutrient solution is pumped into the tray until it reaches a certain level, tripping a switch. Then the solution is drained back out of the tray and into the reservoir. This method can be tricky. You want the roots to have enough water to keep them from drying out, but not too much to cause root rot. This system is notably very efficient. There is no need for air stones to supply the roots with oxygen. All you need plugged in is a small pump. The nutrient film technique, or NTF, uses a tray which sits on a slight angle. The plants sit above that tray with roots hanging down along a thin layer of cloth. The nutrient solution is then pumped into the high side of the tray and, using gravity, drains out the other. The roots are constantly supplied with the solution, but again, not too much to cause fungus. We saw a version of the deep water culture system earlier. The system shown here uses a single large tank that holds the root structures of several plants. This method, when done properly using lots of air, can be one of the most effective. The wick system is just like it sounds. It uses a short wick, or in most cases a nylon rope, to pull the solution up into each pot. This method is effective with smaller plants or plant species that grow at a slower rate. If you're cultivating a more demanding species, then you may want to try another method. The aeroponic system is on the cutting edge of hydroponics. This system utilizes a strong pump, or in some cases an air compressor, to spray the roots of each plant with a high-pressure mist. This method is the most expensive of the systems to run, but can absolutely give you the most yield. Historically, hydroponic propagation isn't really that old in comparison with agriculture. In 1699, an English physician named John Woodward published the results of an experiment where he had reportedly disproved Helmholtz's theory. The theory stated that all earthly matter was made up of air and water. Therefore, plant matter was entirely made up of water. Dr. Woodward grew spearmint in several different water sources. His results showed that the spearmint did not grow well in pure water, but performed better in a solution. Then in the 1860s, 2 German scientists named Julius Sachs and Wilhelm Knopp, shown here with his beautiful wife, developed what could be called the first marketed nutrient solution, specifically designed for hydroponic propagation. But it wasn't until 1929 when William Garrick of UC Berkeley started growing crops instead of just focusing on research. Garrick called his technique aquaculture, but soon coined the term hydroponics after realizing aquaculture was already taken. Hydroponics is a Greek word made of 2 parts, the first being hydra, which stands for water, and the second being ponos, which stands for labor. Which reminds me, let's get to work. Some of the more common pests and problems you can have in your garden are insects and molds. Insects like spider mites and aphids can pose to be the most costly of all pests. Some gardeners have had to completely shut down their systems and move due to spider mite infestations. Spider mites can be combated with sprays, some of which are completely organic. But just because something's labeled organic doesn't mean it's not toxic. Anthrax and cyanide are completely organic. Keep that in mind before you spray something on your plants you plan to ingest later. Another method of insect control that is becoming more popular is fighting insects with insects. The predatory gall midge can eat 5 aphids and 20 eggs a day, and these little killers can be purchased online at a reasonable price. And as for spider mites, a couple hundred predator mites can eliminate both the mites and their eggs in a couple weeks. The problem with these little guys is that they need a decent amount of humidity to stay alive and do their job. Which brings us to our next problem, mold. The main mold-related issues you can encounter are downy mildew, phytophthora-related diseases, and root rot. Downy mildew can be the result of having too much humidity in your growing environment. Prevention can be as simple as adding a fan to improve circulation, or once the mildew has taken hold, a fungicidal spray can be used. But again, pay attention to what you're spraying. Pythium, which is also in the Phytophthora family and commonly known as root rot, is a result of not having enough oxygen in your root system. This can be prevented by using cheap products like hydrogen peroxide in your nutrient reservoir, or by adding beneficial microorganisms like mycorrhizae and rhizobiums that keep roots healthy. But the best offense is a good defense. Keeping your reservoir below 72 degrees will prevent root rot. This can be done by moving your reservoir to another room away from the lights, or adding a chiller to your reservoir that can give you the best control if you want to spend the money.